You might feel like you haven't reached your fluency goals in English, or you feel like you could have done better this year. Make sure you don't look at this from a place of regret and try to have a look at it more from the point of view of how I could learn from this experience I had this year. Because in order for us to grow, in order for us to make progress, we need to learn from our past mistakes, things that didn't work out well, and take that time to reflect on our learning. And this is what this video is going to help you with, to help you set you up for success in 2022. One huge disclaimer though, you don't need to wait for another year to start in order for you to start being more committed, more involved, and take English more seriously. You could do it any day, at any time, literally around the year as well. Hey language learners, welcome to my channel. My name is Csabi. This is a channel for English learners who want to learn how to make vocabulary more memorable through listening and spoken communication. And if you're watching this video later on, this video was recorded in December 2021, just remember that you could apply all of these things that I'll be talking about today anytime, any day. We don't need to look for permission to start taking our life more seriously. Before we jump into the topic of today's video, in which I will be talking about 5 of the things we can improve on, we can look at, reflect on, and see how we can perform better in these 5 areas, it's important to remember why we need to take it more seriously. One huge thing that separates the successful English learner and the struggling English learner is how they look at opportunities. If you look at your problems, your obstacles, the things you are currently stuck with in English, then it means you keep looking for all kinds of excuses, reasons why not to take English more seriously. But if you have a look at English, all the obstacles you have, the problems you might face as opportunities that will, once you overcome them, will open up doors for you to use your English and benefit from it, either financially or as a human being. It might be because speaking more fluent English can give you access to a better job, which obviously means a higher salary. You might be able to live in your dream country, study at your dream university, speak with a variety of different people from all over the world and learn from them. These are amazing reasons for us to keep studying, to keep working on our English skills. And I hope you remember that. And this is actually our first point as well. Be intentional. So make sure that you have an intention. You have a very strong desire to learn. And how do you make sure that that happens? You have a clear goal. Not just a clear goal, but something that you can always think about, something that you can always use as a reminder. Why am I doing this? Having a clear goal helps us because it gives us a direction. Most people fail to stay committed, fail to stay on track with their studies because they didn't set a goal, or the goal just wasn't strong enough. It wasn't taken seriously enough. So one thing that really helped me when I was in my teens, that really led me to reaching fluency around the age of 20. If you'd like to hear more about my story, check out this video where I'll be telling you everything and giving you tips on how you can do this too. When I had this goal and I really wanted to leave my country, get out of this negativity I was living in back in Eastern Europe, that gave me a lot of power. That gave me power every day because I kept reminding myself. I kept looking at the activities I do, whatever I engage in, and it helped me decide if that's something I should do because that helps me get closer to my goal, or that's just a waste of time and I'm just pretending to learn. Sometimes that can happen too. I will have a video about that in the next year. And another thing that's important, once you have your goal, it's also important for you to start planning out the little steps you need to make in order to get closer to that goal. So think about what steps do you need to make, little small steps to get closer to that goal. It could be something like, I need to start listening to podcasts. for like 10 minutes a day. I need to read a few pages from a book every day. Try to get whatever I can out of the text as part of learning from context. Try to remember a couple of expressions, listen to more conversation, or potentially making sure I'm part of a learning community where I can learn from others, with others, through interaction as well. But this is something we'll be talking about today later on. Try to make sure you have that clear goal. Why are you doing this? And then make sure you use that as a reminder all the time, every time you find it hard to start doing something. That's going to be key for your success and for you to stay consistent, which is what we will be talking about in our second point. Being intentional also means that you know your strengths. Try to work on them. Maybe if you're good at communicating with other people, use that as your strength, use that as your talent, and keep on working on those skills. But it's also important to be aware of our weaknesses. Some people might find it hard to speak in front of other people. Some people might be really good at grammar, but they might be making a lot of mistakes in the way they intonate a sentence or the way they express themselves in a conversation. Being aware of our strengths and weaknesses can actually help us be more intentional with the things we do. Language learning is hard, and without the right kind of strategies, the right kind of support, it's going to be extremely hard to stay committed. And when you are more intentional, you take more responsibility for all the decisions you make throughout your day, when to spend some more quality time learning English, listening to something in English, or reading in English. You will see how this shift will help you set yourself up for success in 2022. And every time you do something in English, you practice listening to, reading, speaking, any of the skills that you need to reach your goal. Always ask yourself, does this actually help me get closer to my goal? If it gives you the right kind of progress that you can expect, then go ahead with it. Point number 2 is consistency is your best friend in language learning. Everyone can be good in the short term, but when it comes to something challenging like language learning, the thing that will separate a successful language learner from a struggling language learner is how they perform and how they do things, not in the short term, not in the long term, but how they do things every single day. And the emphasis is on every day. It's important because we build fluency. And if you don't live in an English-speaking country, there is a chance that you expose yourself a lot more to your first language as opposed to English. So in order for us to build that fluency, to get better at speaking or any other skill you'd like to improve, it's going to be essential, vital for us to stay consistent. Staying consistent means what you say and what you do are the same. So if on the 1st of January you tell yourself, I'm going to read a book every month, and you don't do that, it just means you're not consistent. You're not true to your values and to your beliefs. But it's important for us to stay consistent because everyone is looking for quick fixes. Everyone is looking for a huge, major change, a major progress in their English when they do little. But the thing that will help you make incredibly remarkable progress in your fluency is if you stay consistent, no matter what. There might be bad days, there might be good days. That's something we can't control. But there's something that you can control, and that's you and how you react to a bad day or a good day. Many times this happens to me when I need to record videos like this, for example, on a Tuesday or a Wednesday for me to be able to release it on Thursday. And many times I just don't feel like doing it. Maybe I haven't slept enough, maybe I just had a rough time or anything else. But I can still choose to do things, no matter how hard they are. And that's exactly what's going to separate you from others who might not even be watching this video anymore because they don't believe they can stay consistent. Here's how you can stay consistent. Successful language learners build a system to stay consistent, because sometimes it's hard for us to stay consistent on our own. You can develop it, but it takes time. When you share your goals with another person, potentially a really good friend who can kick you in the ass whenever you don't reach your goals, can be very powerful. Sharing your goals and joining a community of people can also help you stay consistent. This is why I'm a huge proponent of social learning, learning together, learning from each other. Because when you do that, when you are part of a learning community, you can become so much more consistent, because you can find ways to surround yourself with English, and whether you have an appointment or not will not depend on your mood. There will be appointments you can always go to, there will be events, classes, meetings with others to share and care for each other, help each other grow. It's also useful to have an accountability partner. I myself have an accountability partner. We meet every 2 weeks. We kind of talk about the things we are stuck with, and we hold each other accountable. Accountability means responsibility for the things you say and the things you do. And that's extremely important in language learning, that is supposed to be a marathon, and it's always hard to stay on track. So make sure you have not just somebody you talk to. This is why I don't like the term speaking partner, because people are not objects we just use and talk to like this cushion behind me, but they are actual people who can help us grow and hold us accountable for everything we do. And if you can't reach all the goals that you set with your accountability partner, it's still okay, because the emphasis is on progress. You can also stay much more consistent if you work on forming new habits. Look at your life. Take some time, have a piece of paper, and write down for every hour what you do and how much time you spend on it. And look at what exactly is something you can take out and replace it with some more active learning, instead of honestly wasting your time with things that don't get you closer to your goals. For example, even if you start with 15 or 30 minutes of the time you spend on social media, literally wasting your time, and replace it with 15 to 30 minutes of active learning, either interacting with somebody, being part of a community and learning in class, learning from context, trying to make sure that you engage with the text. There will be some more information on this in this video here, how to learn more efficiently, especially focusing on vocabulary. It's important for us to organize our life around English, so that our daily routine includes English as well. And whether we do something in English or not doesn't depend on how we feel or how busy we are. If you block out some time for yourself, you can make sure that you do it no matter what. You will do it because you set that time slot apart. You can find out more about this here as well. Some tips on how to be a high-performing language learner. If you'd like to find out more about how mindset work and coaching can help you change all those habits and stay more consistent, have a look at the info on my fluency and coaching program, the Proficiency Fortress, that has helped so far more than 20 people become more fluent, become confident English speakers. Have a look at the details, and you could even sign up for the waiting list. Point number 3, really important, make sure you learn from context. Whether it's grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation, anything you'd like to learn in English, make sure you look at context, how those phrases, expressions, structures behave, and learn from it. You can find out more about it in an entire video if you check out this one here. It's important because learning a language is all about making memories, making strong memories that we can always refer back to. And if you struggle with not always finding the right words in order for you to sound fluent, in order for you to speak without worrying about what comes next, the chances are you didn't learn from context. Your brain has a problem connecting the memory with what you'd like to say because there's no memory there. So that's where learning from context comes in place. It's important to focus on usage. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of struggling learners make is that they read something, they listen to something, and they say, yeah, well, I kind of understand everything. I learn from context, I read. That's not learning from context. Learning from context is making sure you think about what you could use, and again, focusing on use, how, and this is our third question, how you could use that phrase or that sentence in the future when it comes to communicating. And that's exactly where you make that strong connection that later on, doing reviewing, again, using context, seeing those expressions again and again will help you build those connections in your brain that we need in order for us to speak without hesitating what words we'd like to use to express what we really think. Making a guess is also part of learning from context without always relying on dictionaries, always asking a teacher what the translation is, without using a translator potentially. You trying to make sure you look at the text and try to get as much out of it as possible by guessing what the word or expression means. This is exactly what we do in our vocabulary workshops in my fluency and coaching program, the Proficiency Fortress, where we have a look at a text, we listen to a little excerpt of a dialogue, for example, and we see what we could learn from that context, see what kind of expressions, phrases, or sometimes sentences we can start focusing on, and then make those strong memories, talking about it, engaging with the vocabulary so that we can use them later in speech and we don't hesitate when it comes to speaking. When you have a few example sentences in your mind and you make sure that you have seen a certain expression or a certain word used in multiple different contexts, you can also make sure you remember them better. Number 4, make sure you don't just speak English, but also interact in English. I could give you an example of what it looks like in sports. So when people speak, it's more like running. But we cannot just play football by being a good runner. We need to be more strategic about it, right? So playing football or soccer, wherever you live in the world, is what communication and what interaction is like. We need to be part of a system and learn how to behave there strategically in order for us to really feel at ease about how we express ourselves in English. And every single time you communicate with someone else, the way you express yourself can be different because the situation, the topic, your relationship, your rank can be different. And that's why interaction is the best way for us to, what we talked about before, learn from context as well. I know this sounds really scary for many of you because you are not used to it, but believe me when I say, when you make sure you surround yourself with the kind of people who are there to help you, who are there to cheer you up, who are there to encourage you to do more, to step out of your comfort zone and start speaking, you are at the right place to learn. But we also have to realize that being a good learner, which is point number 5 we're going to talk about, also means that we learn how to put aside how we feel and learn how to react to those feelings. It's one thing to feel scared. It's another thing to say yes or say no to the opportunities that are out there for you to improve your English and become a confident, fluent speaker of English. But avoiding conversations because you're scared of being judged, scared of making mistakes, or you feel like your accent is a little off. The reason I love interaction and the reason my classes are highly interactional and communicative, based on making students speak as much as they can, learning how to take control of their speaking, is because it basically ticks off all the 4 things that help you become a more efficient language learner. It gives you comprehensible context, something that you understand, because people will be able to modify it. It also gives you opportunities to practice your speaking skills. At the same time, when you have a conversation with someone, you pay more attention, and we know how important attention is in language learning. Plus, it also equips you with all those communicative skills that we need in order for us to be fully able to use English at a proficient level and be confident with it. Point number 5, and probably one of the most important thing of all, and I know I said this about all the other ones because they are important, is always be a good learner. Always make sure you prioritize the experience of learning no matter what. Successful English learners, people who have become proficient, confident, fluent English speakers, know that they need to work all the time on their growth mindset in order to truly take all the opportunities that life is throwing at them. This growth mindset is basically the belief that character traits, talents, skills, abilities are capable of being developed, growing, and expanding with the right kind of attitude, the right kind of attention, strategies, and effort. So let's just talk a bit about what it means to be a good learner. A good learner always prioritizes the opportunities to learn. So someone who is scared of speaking English, for example, someone who's scared of doing something more challenging, doing something more difficult, they need to learn how to overcome this, how to step out of their comfort zone and do something that gives them a learning opportunity. Because if you're not outside your comfort zone, it means you are in your comfort zone, not in the learning zone. You're not learning much, and you can maximize your potential once you realize that what you think and what you believe in can be shifted towards the growth mindset. It can help you become a more efficient learner if you say yes to learning, if you say yes to experiencing learning and not saying yes to how you feel and avoid doing things that would give you a lot of opportunities to learn. A good learner also knows that perfection is not a question here. It's about perfecting, because every time you do something, even if you're not good at it, look at my first YouTube video or just scroll back on my Instagram, how I sucked at posting just a simple post. But I knew that every single post that I make, every single mistake I make in English as well, will get me closer to my goal of becoming a fluent and confident speaker. And when you actively seek feedback on not just the way you use English, not just the grammar mistakes or the wrong vocabulary that you are using in a sentence, but also the way you learn, so that you can, again, set yourself up for success in your language learning journey. If you actively look out for feedback, you can maximize all your potential. And every successful language learner knows that they can't do this alone. Language learning is hard. We need other people to communicate with. We need other people to show us support. We need other people to give us feedback. So try to reflect on how you relate to these things. Do you feel like you are shy in front of others, or is it something you can work on to become more confident in front of others when you collaborate with people? Because trust me, talking from experience as a teacher and as a language learner, the most inspiring, most beneficial way of learning English is being part of a community, learning from others and learning with others, with the right kind of guide or a professional who can help you walk through the same things that they have walked through as well. Simply put, successful language learners know that they need to step out of their comfort zone. They need to actively seek feedback on their English and on the way they learn English. They also need to embrace the power of the community instead of feeling threatened by other people, because they can speak better, they can do better, and they know that they can learn from all of these situations. Plus, they also know that the best way they can work on themselves is if they make those mistakes and they learn from them. Now, I hope these 5 points were very useful for you to focus on, at least to give you an idea of what you need to develop. And just remember, you have done so much already on your English learning journey. Make sure you don't give up and set yourself up for 2022 with all these 5 points I talked about, being a good learner, and also focusing on some of the other aspects of successful language learning. If there's anything my channel can help you with, I'm here coming up with content on a weekly basis. You could also find me on Instagram, on TikTok, and some of the other social media websites as well. You will see all these details in my description. And if there's anything I can help you with, make sure you reach out in person as well, in a DM, or just send me a message. Comment down below what your language goals are for 2022, or if you found any of these tips helpful. Thank you so much for your attention, and if you are a returning visitor, I truly appreciate you watching all these videos. I hope you take away one thing every time and start implementing in your language learning journey. Thank you for being with me in this 1 year 2022, the first year I started recording videos and releasing them, at least at the recording of this video. And if you're watching it later on, I really hope that the video gave you some inspiration on what things you could work on. And just remember, you don't need to wait for the start of the next year or the start of the next week, the next month, to give yourself permission to finally take English more seriously and open up yourself to all those opportunities that wait for you when you work on your English. It might be because, and I hope you remember, being aware of our strengths and and pieces, those little tips, those little steps, that it's also useful to have because you set that time, slot? Because you set that time slot apart. Point number 3, not just the grammar,